So, K-dramas attract us for a variety of reasons. There are gorgeous and talented actors, beautiful cinematography, and most important of them all, the writing. Still, even the best K-dramas can't be perfect, and they will inevitably have inconsistencies, leading to plot holes. Most of these are minor and can be ignored, but for today's topic, let's discuss some pretty glaring K-drama plot holes that are never resolved. Disclaimer: while obvious, the plot holes mentioned don't necessarily make a K-drama bad. They just leave unanswered questions. Number 1. It's okay to not be okay. The Mother. Starring super talented actors and actresses like So Ye-ji, Kim Soo-hyun, and Oh Jung-se, It's Okay to Not Be Okay is a hardship-filled story, which follows a selfless psych ward caretaker, his autistic brother, and an antisocial children's book writer. All of our main characters have their share of traumas, and throughout the series, have learned to overcome those and embrace love. However, in such a decent series, we can still snuff out a pretty huge plot hole regarding the female lead Go Moon-young. It was revealed that her relationship with her parents had been pretty rocky, and that Moon-young's mom was this psychotic evil being that made her own daughter think she has no emotions. We also get to know that this very same mother is the one that murdered the male lead's mom, and that she was accidentally pushed to death by her own husband, who panicked upon learning this bloody truth. Or so we think. Apparently the mother, who was supposedly pronounced dead, mind you not, had been alive this entire time. And apparently, she's now the head nurse at the male lead's hospital. Yes, I literally went WTF when that plot point was revealed. Like, how is she not dead? How did she get a new ID? How come she could get through all that medical school and nurse training and went up to a head nurse already? Whose identity did this woman steal? Well, the series certainly did not answer any of those. But she's a pretty scary villain, so I guess bringing her back to life isn't an overwhelmingly terrible decision. Number 2. Huarang, the fainting spell. If you feel up to a visual party in a K-drama and enjoy the historical genre, Huarang might just be an enjoyable watch. With a cast full of big names like Park Seo-joon, Park Hyung-sik, Go Ara, Chinese Minho, BTS's V, the list goes on. Following a group of soldiers called Huarang, the series is all about romances, boyhood, and, like all historical dramas, is filled with political scheming. It was not a perfect fit, but nevertheless an enjoyable watch. Still, there was a quite glaring plot hole. In particular, the male lead of Huarang, aka Moo Myung, was shown to suffer from fainting spells throughout the entire series. He always gets dizzy, loses focus in the eyes, and just loses consciousness out of the blue. This was apparently a very dire and serious condition, seeing that the female lead's father, who's a doctor, had mentioned that he needs help to get the fainting treated as soon as possible, or else he'd be beyond medical help. Up to episode 16, our dashing male lead still got himself knocked out at the most inopportune times, which means the ailment is something very, very critical to the plotline, right? Well, apparently not, because very soon we reach the series finale and absolutely nothing is mentioned about this supposedly deadly condition. Did the male lead get cured? Did he just grow out of it? What even caused the fainting? Well, the answer is none of us know. To this day, it remains a mystery. Perhaps it's just there for the dramatics. Number 3. Flower of Evil, Do Min-suk's death. Flower of Evil had been a pretty great series. There's a lot of action, investigation, mind games, and yet the male leads, played by talented actors Lee Jun-ki and Moon Chae-won, spotted chemistry so great, it was on par with the most heart-fluttering romance. The series, for the most part, had been extremely gloomy, as our male lead Do Hyun-soo took up the identity of the comatose man Bak Hee-sung, and were on the run after being suspected of murder. For more context, Hyun-soo was ostracized in his village because his father, Do Min-suk, was a serial killer and had committed suicide before he paid his due. People believed him to be a psychopath without emotions, and he had assisted his father in the killing. Well, turns out the real Hee-sung had been the true murderer, and was also behind Min-suk's death, bashing his head to pulp with a giant stone. But wasn't Min-suk's death declared as suicide for, the entire series? Personally, I don't think anyone could look at a dead man with a bloody head and a skull completely bashed in and rule that as a suicide. If Do Min-suk were revealed to have been killed, then perhaps the course of the entire series would have changed. So I'd say this plot point seems pretty important. Perhaps Hee-sung had made the dead body seem like a suicide. How? Well, we'd never know. Number 4. Crash Landing on You, Seri going back to South Korea. Okay, real quick summary. Crash Landing on You started as billionaire/major businesswoman Yoon Se-ri found herself all the way in North Korea after a paragliding incident went wrong. And for over half of the series, she struggled to find her way back home with the help of handsome military man Ri Jong-hyuk. And, of course, developed feelings for him along the way. Long story short, they tried basically every method out there, and had to dodge several bullets and mishaps before Se-ri finally escaped in episode 9, taking a literal step across the border and leaving behind the happiest place she had ever been. It had been an extremely emotional moment, as she was back to a rigid Se-ri, without all her new friends as well as her budding love. Fortunately, the tears hadn't lasted all that long, and she was soon reunited with the entire gang just a couple of episodes later. They apparently had crossed the border super simply with the help of the male lead's father, who was politically big, and had gone out of North Korea completely undetected. Which begs the question, why hadn't the male lead just asked for his father's help to send Se-ri home? If they keep her in North Korea, Jung-hyuk would inevitably get into trouble. So his father might be very willing to help, right? Literally everything will be solved in just a blink of the eye. But then the series would end too quickly if such were the case. So I guess this plot hole is actually important to the plot? Now, before we reach the end of this list filled with plot holes, let's recount some honorable mentions. Memories of Alhambra, the entire function of the game. Just what caused the glitches? And what kind of glitch can erase the entire human out of existence? A Korean Odyssey, the entire premise regarding the female lead's blood. In the series, the blood of the female lead can attract supernatural beings. So, why hadn't she realized any of this despite being a girl in her 20s? Missing 9, the entire ending. Despite my habit of rooting for the villains, Missing 9's ending, where a murderer gets chummy with his victims' family, just doesn't make any sense. And finally, we have plot hole number 5. Now we are breaking up. The misunderstanding. We already discussed this in a previous video, but here it goes. In Now We Are Breaking Up, our gorgeous and independent female lead, played by actress Song Kye-kyo, had grown a bit jaded about love, due to her previous relationship that ended on a sour note. It was intriguing before the grand reveal, and I was curious to see what exactly caused her to be that way. But it turns out to be a major plot hole. To sum up, our female lead was in a long-term relationship with the male lead's older brother, and was deeply in love. However, on a day when they were supposed to have a date, the lover died in a car accident. And thus, the female lead ended up waiting for him for hours on end. She felt betrayed, and not knowing of his death, believed that she had been abandoned and that her feelings of years had all gone to waste. It was heartbreaking to watch when our character finally learned the truth, and Song Kye-kyo's acting of grief pulled very strongly on my heartstrings. However, in retrospect, this entire plotline doesn't make any sense. Like, how does one not know their lover is dead? It's the era of technology where news covers literally every inch of the earth. And even if there's no news about the death, shouldn't the lover's family at least contact our female lead? I'd call this quite the major plot hole. And that's the list. What are your opinions regarding these plot holes? Have you noticed any weird plot issues in other series? Comment down below to let us know. And if you want more videos like this, like, share, and subscribe to KDrama. We'll come back soon. See ya!